Greetings, metalheads, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and I'm back yet again with another collection update consisting entirely of cassette tapes, which has kind of been a bit of a primary format focus for me recently. I've been loving expanding the cassette tape collection. Another selection of tapes. We've got some death metal here, we've got some thrash metal here. All of them are really freaking awesome articles that I am really rather chuffed to have picked up, and they're all decent, absolutely well worth checking out if there's any of these that you haven't heard or haven't checked out before. So all of these articles were acquired from Dissonant Tapes. Nice, helpful, big logo sticker to help with promotion there. Dissonant Tapes, US based label and distro. Not sure entirely where in the US of A they are located, but I hadn't come across them until fairly recently when the first articles that I will take you through were promoted on social media, wherever, can't remember. They had acquired some things that I was freaking immediately interested in and just knew that I had to have. So, directed myself over to their web store, and here in the UK, we're plagued by post-Brexit, ridiculously high postage costs. Basically, we have isolated ourselves and now everything is really expensive to get hold of from outside of the country. That said, there are a few stores, Hell's Headbangers, Extremely Rotten Productions, even Osmos Records, Osmos Productions from France, and also Dissonant Tapes, where it's fairly reasonable. It's a little bit more reasonably priced. So, decided to place a debut order, a bit of a taster order, and picked up some freaking cool articles. So we've got, how many here? We've got 11 tapes that I'll take you through in a concise fashion. The first 5 of which were the primary reason why I placed this order. It is not the first 5 releases. I think it's the first 5 out of 6 releases from Maryland, Baltimore, death metalers, heritage band now, Dying Fetus. I must admit, this is a band that I've had a funny relationship with over the years. Still can't say that I particularly like the name, but I was a big fan of Dying Fetus probably in my late teens. Got totally hooked on albums like Destroy the Opposition, Reign Supreme. I've just absolutely got hooked on that brutal, groovy death metal style. And over the years, kind of like drifted away from them and then picked it up in a pretty big way with the last studio album, Make Them Beg. I think that was a pretty solid album and it got me hooked again. And when I saw that you could now get, courtesy of Megatherion Productions, not sure, essentially a reissue label, you can get hold of the first few releases from Dying Fetus on tape format. So we've got Bathe in Entrails demo here, which was actually the debut, released in 1993. And I think they have done a cracking job with these because they're not over the top. They're not really mega lavish things. They are genuine articles, and they've got a neat little insert as well. And they've kind of kept it true to the original release without going, what tends to happen with the CD or vinyl formats, just cramming in bonus stuff wherever possible. Less so with vinyl, obviously, and tape, because you haven't got the room available. So Bathe in Entrails debut, the demo, of course, you can acquire these tracks as part of the Infatuation with Malevolence compilation, which I do have. I picked that up a while back and I got so hooked on that because of the sheer raw brutality and monstrous grooves of these early releases. So good. It's brutal death metal, but it's just packed with freaking barbaric grooves. Absolutely crushing stuff. So Bathe in Entrails, love it. It's got a totally DIY aesthetic to it as well. Freaking great start. And then we've got Infatuation with Malevolence, the second demo. This one, same 4 tracks, both sides. They're just clear shells with a print, but they're still really nice. You know, high quality, cool little insert, and of course this contains some absolute freaking beasts of tracks. Not to overlook the great tracks from Bathing Entrails, kind of overlook that, but the title track is awesome. Nocturnal Crucifixion, which of course crops up on the debut. Wretched Flesh Consumption, Grotesque Impalement. Just solid, brutal death metal. Here we have released so the debut demo is 1993. Infatuation with Malevolence, 1994. Some cracking stuff here. Eviscerated Offsprings, brilliant. And The Weak Shall Be Crushed, Purge of My Worldly Being, solid as a rock. Freaking love the brutality here. Of course, we've got John Gallagher, main man, guitars, vocals, absolute beast. And his vocals are quite unique, I would say. He's got such a low-end guttural style. Alongside Jason Netherton, also on bass and vocals as well. So, solid stuff, absolutely crushing. Love that little article, Infatuation with Malevolence. Then it just gets seriously freaking beastly. The debut. This is an absolute short and sweet monster of an album. We've got the alternative, kind of like original artwork, I should say. The subsequent reissues on CD, I think, have had a different cover. This is the Purification Through Violence. Full length. Again, just a clear shell. A expanded insert here. And this album is just monstrous. It's so freaking heavy, but it's so crushingly groovy. Just take some of and it's got some pretty big tracks for the band, you know, fan favourites. But you take that opening track, Blunt Force Trauma, Beaten into Submission, Skullfucked, Nothing Left to Pray For, Nocturnal Crucifixion, and that great cover of Napalm Death's Scum. Scum, fuck the weak, in fact, in this case. But this is just freaking beastly. Love it. It's one of my favourite Dying Fetus albums, I will say. So we've got Purification. Then we've got the following album, Killing on Adrenaline, a couple of years later or so. But after that, they did a kind of like a stopgap EP, Grotesque Impalement, which is an interesting one because it's enjoyable and very entertaining at the same time. So again, clear shell, purple print there. Then we've got our booklet. And this EP consists of some interesting tracks. So we've got Grotesque Impalement, great one. It was originally a demo from 92. Tearing Inside the Womb, obviously, from earlier years. Then we've got Final Scream, which is kind of ode to Grim Reaper, which is a bit of a nod there, a bit of an interesting one. And then we get this absolutely insane couple of tracks here, a couple of parts. We've got Hail Mighty North, Forest Trolls of Satan, Anno Clitoris 666, Opus 11. Why? I don't know. I think I did read, it's just a bit of a piss take. They're just having a bit of fun. But other than that, the first few tracks are solid. It's an enjoyable just EP listen, really. Then things get freaking serious with Destroy the Opposition. I love this album. It's an absolute beast. Released in 2000, it contains some of my favourite Dying Fetus tracks. Certainly in the opening track, Praise the Lord, Opium of the Masses, which has such a beast of a riff. And I think that's the thing about Dying Fetus, is that the songs are crushing, they're groovy, but man, do they have technicality and intricacy in there. It's all incredible leads, amazing solos. They know their stuff. Drum, absolute mechanics. Love the bass, pounding stuff. Freaking brilliant. Destroy the Opposition, Born in Sodom, Epidemic of Hate, Pissing in the Mainstream, In Times of War, For Us or Against Us, and Justifiable Homicide. 8 tracks, just freaking amazing. Some of the best brutal death metal around. If you're not massively into brutal death metal, then this is an album to go to as almost like a bit of a bridge into that territory because it freaking crushes next level stuff. I absolutely love it. So there we have 5 awesome albums courtesy of To Megatherion Productions. Their reissues there. All are brilliant. I would say Dying Fetus, if they're a band you're not familiar with, then you definitely need to get yourself acquainted. If you like savage and groovy death metal in the vein of bands like Suffocation, for example, or Deeds of Flesh, but these are great. These are brilliant. I'm not sure if they're all still available, I must admit, on Dissonant Tapes store, but they have recently started reissuing or stocking the reissues, I should say, of the next album. So we've got Stop at Nothing, War of Attrition. We've also got Reign Supreme, and what am I overlooking? How could I forget? Descend into Depravity. Freaking great stuff. So we've got more Dying Fetus reissues coming up. Okay, sticking with death metal then, and also US technical brutal stuff. Nile, the freaking masters that they are. This is Annihilation of the Wicked. So I saw this on their store. Couldn't overlook this one. So it's on a nice red shell. And I love Nile. They are a great band. One of the best kind of technical death metal bands around for sure. This was released in 2005. The 4th album. Very technical. A whole lot of progress and maturity had happened between, their inception and this album. I absolutely love albums like Amongst the Catacombs of Neferenka, Black Seeds of Vengeance. Amazing. It just gets better. Better and better and better with time. Carl Sanders, what a legend. That guy is an absolute master. Just an adept musician, historian, great guy. And this album absolutely kills. And I know I did give a lot of praise for George Colias, if that is how you pronounce his surname, for his drumming when I was talking about the most recent album, Underworld Awaits Us All. And that is because that guy is an amazing drummer. And his drumming sounds fantastic here. Right across the board, sounds great. And even in cassette form, it sounds amazing. So I do have the album on CD. But to be honest, it's a bit of a beaten up secondhand copy that I got many years ago. So this is quite nice to have this Egyptian technical death metal benchmark album on tape. And it does sound great as well. This one is courtesy of Relapse Records. So we've got Nile. Now we've got another essential album. My favourite album from Merseyside's finest metal export, Carcass. We've got their incredible 2013 comeback album, Surgical Steel, on tape. I love this album. It is my favourite Carcass album. And it still sounds great on tape. So I now have it on CD, I've got it on vinyl, now I've got it on tape. This tape copy is released by Undying Music, I believe. Undying Music, yeah. Collaborating with Nuclear Blast, and what a freaking album this is. I love it. I must admit, I don't think I've actually listened to this album since working on the album ranking of Carcass that I did, so it was long overdue. I saw it, was never going to overlook this one. Freaking absolutely love this album so much. Tracks like Could Have a Pouch Conveyor System, A Congealed Clot of Blood, the brilliantly titled Non-Compliance to ASTM F89912 Standard, the singles Unfit for Human Consumption and Captive Bolt Pistol, and of course the brilliant title-ish track 316L Grade Surgical Steel. Bill and Jeff, the brilliant duo, absolute legends. Just the whole band sounds red hot here. It's a freaking great album. Love it. Cannot get enough. One of the best modern death metal albums for sure. And a lovely little tape article to have. And the last death metal article from this bundle, we have the second album from Swedish old school death metal godfathers, Grave. this is the rather wonderful You'll Never See. So this album was released in 1992. Again, this is a reissue from Undying Music. I think they're based in Indonesia for some reason. That comes to mind. So we've got just a clear shell, or kind of like smoke effect shell there, with a print, expanded insert. But with this one, we get a whole load of bonus tracks. And I can't quite recall the name of the demo. No, it's not even in there. So we get tracks, I think it's the And Here I Die. Yeah, And Here I Die demo or EP. We get the track, and we also get I Need You, Blood Dawn, a corpse cover, Tremendous Pain, and Day of Mourning. So we've got a load of bonus material here, which reflects the bonus tracks you get with the CD version. But my God, what a freaking album. I absolutely love Grave. I've recently, a little while ago now, picked up a load of Grave albums from Into the Grave up to Out of Respect for the Dead. There's a few gaps in there as well, but was delighted to see one that I hadn't got on tape yet in there on that web store, Dissonant Tapes. What an album. You'll Never See, Now and Forever, Morbid Way to Die, Severing Flesh, Brutally Deceased. Wow, my God. You know, this is just a great album. Absolutely amazing. Of course, it's a Thomas Skogsberg album from Sunlight Studios, recorded in 1992. And it's just, wow, what an album. I mean, alongside Entombed and Dismember, Grave were right up there as being one of the best of that Swedish death metal scene, that whole movement. Just incredible stuff. The riffs are to die for. Vocals are harrowing. Drumming is thunderous. And the whole thing is just seeped with Skogsberg's sound. Benchmark album. If you love old school HM2 fuzzy Scandinavian death metal, you need to hear You'll Never See. Another great one. Now we've got 3 thrash albums. So all modern thrash albums, but from some of the biggest and best names in thrash, in my opinion. And couldn't omit any of these because they're all great albums from bands I love. Firstly, we've got Kreator with Violent Revolution. Their sort of return to form, if you like. Their big comeback from 2000 and I think it was 2001 or 2000. I can't recall. It doesn't actually say on there, which is really annoying. I think it was 2000 or early 2000s anyway. Clear shell with a print. Again, Undying Music. But this album, I love. It's Kreator, you know, thrashing, heavy, just as the good old Kreator was. But also it was a good indicator of where they were going with some massive melodic sections, big choruses, you know, anthemic stuff. Reconquering the Throne, pretty fitting. Violent Revolution, All of the Same Blood, Second Awakening, The Crushing Ghetto War, Mind of Fire, System Decay. Brilliant tracks. Some absolute benchmark tracks there. Freaking love it. It's always been a bit of a favourite Kreator album of mine. Of course, produced by Andy Sneap as well. In 2001, so it must be about 2001, 2002. Freaking love this album. So freaking good. Just packed full of Millie Petroza and company riffs. It's a thrashing album. That's what we want. Heavy, but we've got some great hooks. Really memorable stuff. And some brilliant guitar work all around. So, Violent Revolution. Then we've got a more recent album from the mighty Exodus, a band that I have been hooked on of late. This is Blood In, Blood Out from 2014. I would have said it was more recent than that, but wow. I remember getting this album when it came out and just thinking, whoa, this is benchmark freaking ripping thrash. And actually, it really is. It is incredible. This is a great album. Of course, Exodus have been around for a lot of years now. They're a pioneering Bay Area thrash band. Intermittent, breakups and stops and hiatuses and difficulties along the way. And of course, recently they've hit the headlines again because the vocalist, up till recently, Steve Souza, Zetro Souza, who came back, trying to pick him out in the middle there, front and centre, who came back in after Rob Dukes left the band. He's now been booted out and replaced with Rob again. So it's interesting. It's a bit incestuous, a bit of back and forth there. But I think both Rob, actually, and Steve are brilliant vocalists. I do still slightly prefer Steve's vocals. That said, Rob does an amazing job on those albums that he featured on, like the Exhibit A and B albums. But this album freaking rips. This is so good. It's quite a long album, you know, getting on towards the hour mark. Great cover. Absolutely brilliant. And we've got some brilliant tracks here. Blood In, Blood Out. Collateral Damage, Salt the Wound. Body Harvest. My Last Nerve, Numb, Honor Killings. And actually on this tape, I'm not sure if it is on the CD form, but on this tape we get an awesome cover of an Angel Witch classic. I think it's Angel of Death. Brilliant stuff. Absolutely love it. We get vocal contributions from Chuck Billy, Testament, absolute legend, and guest guitar solo on Salt the Wound by Kirk Hammett. Awesome. Of course, he was there at the beginning with Exodus. So a great album, great one to have on tape. It still sounds decent. Again, it's an Andy Sneap album. And wow, does it sound good. Freaking ripping thrash. I think it's that album, easily one of the best. I freaking love it. It's one I come back to very regularly. So, we've got one more album. And interestingly enough, this album from Testament, another Bay Area thrash legend, this album, Dark Roots of Earth, was the first album that I wrote a review for on the No Nonsense Metal Reviews blog when this album came out. So this was released in 2012. Been doing this reviewing business for a long time for little gain, but it's all for the fun. It's all for the pleasure. So we've got another Clear Shell. Again, it's an Undying Music release. I love this album. Love this album. I remember walking down to HMV on the morning this album came out and picking up a copy. They had one copy in stock. One copy, and it was the special hard book edition, the media book version, I think that's what they're called. And I played that album to death. I still frequently revisit it as well. Great cover. Love it. I had it on a patch on an old jacket of mine. This version also includes all the bonuses. So we get the bonus covers they did. They did covers of, remind myself, Dragon Attack, Animal Magnetism, and Power Slave, Iron Maiden's classic. So yeah, expanded. Very, very cool. Does it actually indicate? So Dragon Attack was originally by Queen. I think I knew that in the back of my mind. Animal Magnetism is, of course, Scorpions. Power Slave, Iron Maiden. This is really cool. This is a really good one. And my goodness, what an album. What an absolutely great album. Foundation of Damnation, of course, was amazing. And then you've got Brotherhood of the Snake after that, and Titans of Creation. Testament have been on a fine run. This album contains some beasts: Rise Up, Native Blood, Dark Roots, True American Hate, Day in the Death, the ballady Cold Embrace, Man Kills Mankind. To be honest, start to finish, there's not a dud track here. Absolutely incredible. One of my favourite modern Testament albums for sure. It's so good. So freaking good. And revisiting it again, man, it's timeless. Chuck Billy, I love his vocals. Absolutely beast of a vocalist. Also, this album features Gene Hoglan on drums, so you know it's good. That guy's an absolute god. Alongside Eric Peterson, amazing guitarist. Of course, we have still Alex Skolnick on lead guitars, and then Greg Christian on bass. This lineup is solid. Solid as a freaking rock. Absolutely brilliant. So, there we have it. We've got an interesting mix of death metal thrash metal. All albums absolutely worth checking out. Certainly these Kreator, Exodus and Testament albums, if you're looking for some solid and robust Bay Area thrash, and Teutonic thrash, of course, with Kreator, go for these. Got some solid old school death metal and technical death metal essentials here with Grave, Carcass and Nile, and this delightful bunch of Dying Fetus early releases. Love it. Freaking love it. So, there you have it. Collection update, full of cassettes, full of great stuff. What are your thoughts and opinions on these bands, on these albums? Let me hear your thoughts on this one. Interested to hear, as always. Do check out the Dissonant Tapes web store. They've got tons of cool stuff. I'll put some links in the description. But thank you very much for watching this humble collection update. Hope you've enjoyed it. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good, heavy things. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Listen to tape. Remember, only tape is real. And stay freaking heavy.